Hello everybody, my name is Big Citrus and let's get into it. So today we are going to be doing the Season 13 of Apex Legends Saviors Ultimate Mega Tier List Edition thingy mabob. I'm not going to be one of those people who splits these up into multiple videos. I'm going to be dropping this as one Ultimate Tier List, so obviously there will be timestamps for everything you want to see in the description. As well in the description there's my Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, community, Discord. We're almost at 500 members and we're going to be ranking everything in this video. We're going to be ranking the maps, we're going to be ranking the weapons, we're going to be ranking the legends, and we are going to start with the Apex Season 13 Legends tier list. Starting off in the F tier, I actually don't think there's a single F tier legend right now currently in Apex. I would say that all the legends are at least D tier above. I don't think there's any legend that goes in F or E tier, so we're just going to completely skip over that. And there is actually only one, yes, one legend that I am going to rank into the D tier. I know this is going to make some people cry, but we are putting Lifeline is the worst character in Apex right now. A lot of people are going to be saying, well, why is Mirage not the worst character? Because at least Mirage is really helpful in 1v1 situations. Also, Mirage is just way more fun to play. The potential to get out of certain situations as Mirage and farm intel with your decoys is actually pretty high. Lifeline is useful, and I almost consider bumping her up to the bottom of C tier, but there have been so many times where I have used a Lifeline passive res on someone or someone has used it on me, and I have died solely because of it, when I could have just held up my knockdown shield and have been perfectly fine. But Lifeline's ultimate still sucks. Like, care package, yes, you can get a shield upgrade for free, but it also takes like 40 fucking minutes to charge and it lets every single person know where you are. The health drone healing rate is okay, but for how long it lasts and how slow it is, I don't think it is worth the cooldown. Lifeline isn't necessarily bad, she is just considerably worse than every other legend in the game now and has been the biggest victim of power creep. Yes, she used to be insanely OP, and I never want to go back to those times in specific. If they increase her healing rate and maybe make care package like guarantee at least a mobile respawn beacon and heat shields, or at least guarantee some shield batteries instead of shield cells, I feel like you can make a legitimate justification for Lifeline being a better pick. Look, I could not bring myself to put Mirage in the D tier. Mirage is my favorite character. I think he's the most fun legend to play. Mirage doesn't really do anything that easy. Most experienced players won't get fooled by your passive res or your decoys even in the slightest, but it does happen sometimes, and when it does happen, you were able to make a fight that you already lost suddenly into a winnable one. I would really like some sort of buff with his decoys where perhaps they could make gun shooting sounds if you tell them to. Maybe just make them more interactive. I feel like there is a lot that you could also do with his ultimate in terms of the decoys actually doing different things from one another. There could be one decoy that shoots, there could be one decoy that pretends to heal. Little changes, I think, would actually increase the bamboozability of Mirage. But yeah, he does belong down here. I hate to say it. Stream bamboozled by Big Citrus. Now, I knew what the bottom two were gonna be from the moment I started this list, and then it became a lot more tricky. Moving on down from Mirage, I think I'm actually gonna put Pathfinder in the C tier. A good Pathfinder player can get tons and tons of value out of him if they are insane with movement and tap strafes and absolutely know how to abuse the physics of this game. But besides that, Pathfinder doesn't really do anything. Pathfinder's passive is still a joke with just giving him increases zipline cooldown, which, yeah, is better than nothing, but also at the same time, like, I don't know, just anything I feel like would be better than that. I don't think we should ever revert Pathfinder's grappling hook back to the way it was when the game first came out, solely because it was insane the amount of stuff you could do and how far you could actually go with him. He is definitely a legend that has some of the most mobility, and I think that is why to this day he is one of the most played legends, despite being technically one of the worst and least useful. Coming down to our next spot, and I know this is probably going to get a lot of hate and be seen as a very casual opinion, but this is going to be Bangalore. But I feel like Bangalore is definitely one of those legends that hasn't really got a lot of love. I'm not saying that they need to completely rework Bangalore or anything like that, but she used to be like always a B tier legend, and now she's comfortably nestled into just being an average legend. With everyone running a recon character and everyone running characters that can just constantly like get away and get above you like Valkyrie, it just kind of feels like her smokes don't really do much in the grand scheme scheme of things anymore, but they can still be useful. Her passive is still fantastic, definitely one of the best passives in the game. Bangalore is so stupid speedy sonic quick, and I love that. Her ultimate is fine. It's a great pushing tool and can be used as a great defensive tool. It's really just average. If her ult charged a bit faster, I could definitely see Bangalore going back up into the B tier, but with how slow her ultimate is and how like little I feel like you get to use it sometimes because there's so many indoor areas with the way the game is now, I feel like Bangalore has nestled comfortably down into the C tier. And our final C tier legend, I was debating on putting him in B tier, but I don't think I'm gonna, is going to be Seer. Now I know I have a lot of Seer fans on the channel who are going to despise me for this opinion, and Seer is actually very good with a coordinated team. I feel like the biggest problem with Seer as it stands right now is he is just simply outclassed by Crypto and Bloodhound. Crypto of course has EMP, which is an insanely useful utility against Gibby and Caustic teams and things like that. I think Crypto is going to go up in a big way this season, as well as, you know, being able to pick up people's banners and respawn them quickly. Bloodhound doesn't have to do anything to know where anyone is. They can just walk into an area and find out exactly what people were doing there. It'll tell them if there was a fight going on, if they reloaded, what characters they were. The best thing about Seer's kit is definitely the fact that he can cancel reses, which actually, hold on, now that I think about it, Seer's tactical is actually going to be able to cancel Newcastle reses even through Rampart barriers and Newcastle barriers. His ultimate is still good, but I wished it lasted a little longer, basically being free wall hacks, but his tactical, I think, is going to be something that people are going to want to see a lot in this season. In certain situations, you're going to be able to stop the, you know, possible defensive res metas that is going to be going on with characters like Rampart, Gibby, Caustic, Lifeline, Newcastle, Watson. Seer might be a big counter to that, so you know what? Because of that sole reason, I'm actually talking myself into moving Seer up into the very end of B tier. Our next character is going to be Revenant. I feel like Revenant has been taken down in a big way this season. With all the barriers and stuff that's going to be going on, I feel like Revenant is going to be a lot harder to play. It's going to be a lot harder to use your ult and push teams. It's going to be a lot harder to silence people, but very valuable if you actually do manage to cancel people's abilities. And I think Revenant's passive is still really cool, but I just don't see how it's going to be useful with, I think, the way the game is currently being played and the fact that a lot of mobility characters have been nerfed. However, when you do get to use Revenant to his full potential, he is one of the most dominant characters in the game. Edging out Revenant just barely is going to be Watson. I never thought I'd be putting a Watson in the B tier, but after the recent changes to shield cells and syringes, I can really see her ultimate and her passive being a lot more useful. A lot of competitive teams have started using her, and I think we're going to see that continue. If characters like Fuse and Maggie are about to go up in a big way, I can legitimately see Watson being a huge counter. If you're on Watson and Newcastle, I can honestly see how that is going to be OP and stop you from getting completely annihilated. That might just be the unstoppable meta. Speaking of which, we're gonna put Fuse up here in the B tier. The only reason I think he's a little better than Watson is solely because of how good Fuse is off a hot drop. When you are in a hot drop situation, you are spamming knuckle clusters and spamming the grenades you've gotten and double stacking them. It really just feels like Fuse is insanely strong. In the right situations, on the right maps and final circles, Fuse is an absolute death sentence, just a hella strong character. And just a TT bit better than Fuse again is going to be Mad Maggie. I purely am putting Maggie above Fuse because of her passive. There have been so many times where, because I've actually been able to see where someone is going because of her passive that highlights people when you do damage them for a second, I have been able just to completely destroy them with my tactical because they run inside. That is just such an insanely useful part of her kit. Of course, her ultimate and her tactical are still very good, but she kind of requires an intelligent player to get a lot of value out of her sometimes. You either have to play really aggressive or really defensively with her. Maggie is in a very good state, very balanced. I don't really think that any of the characters that are in B tier right now really need to be tweaked. I honestly think they could just stay where they are. And oh, how the mighty have fallen. Putting Octane all the way down here in B tier. Octane a few seasons ago, like, you know, 4 seasons ago, would have been easily in S tier. And they haven't really nerfed Octane too harshly. Obviously, the jump head has been nerfed. Obviously, his stim has been nerfed. But I think it's just kind of the way people play Apex now. Octane is still very strong, yes. Jump pad is still insanely powerful for aping teams and getting out of situations, but there are just better rotation characters, and I feel like with the new defensive meta, Octane just kind of jump padding into teams and stimming and running into teams isn't nearly as useful anymore. Obviously, Octane's still some of the best mobility in Apex and one of the most fun characters to play, but man, it's just not really his arena anymore, is it? I know I'm putting like 4,000 characters in B tier, but our next character is going to be LOBA. LOBA has really shot up in viability in these couple last seasons. Looting in high-ranked lobbies can be really difficult, and LOBA just makes that so easy, especially if you're having trouble finding specific guns or attachments that you use all the time. Also, her bracelet is a fantastic getaway tool after the buff, definitely one of the best in the game for sure. In those hot drop situations, being able to see purple and legendary armor through walls can make all the difference in the world. It can just give you an immediate advantage over teams when you're in a hot drop situation. Also, in Final Zone, just being able to steal red armor from teams. Mwah. And concluding the top of the B tier, it is going to be Rampart. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be putting her this high either, but after the Rampart buffs, I think Rampart is going to be an insane meta-defining character. The only problem is I think she's only going to be insanely strong in conjunction with Newcastle. Rampart and Newcastle together with the faster barriers and increased barrier health is going to be a nightmare, I think. And especially with every LMG getting nerfed, Rampart's passive seems a lot more useful now for people who really like LMGs. I can see Rampart being a meta-defining pick this season. She's been rising in popularity, and I don't see that stopping soon. And at the bottom of our A tier, it is going to be Crypto. Crypto has always been a good pick, but after the minor buff he's gotten, and with the way that the game is about to be played forever, EMP seems like an incredibly useful tool. It actually does not destroy Newcastle's ultimate, rather it just disables the slowing effect on it. But Crypto is just such a great utility character, especially just for being able to loot from your drone, being able to respawn your teammates and grab their banners so easily is just something that is fantastic. And EMP is one of the strongest ultimates in the game, especially in final zones. His biggest flaws mainly are just that, yes, he has to be immobile to do these things. His immobility and like how kind of boring he is to play sometimes are really the only thing that is keeping him from being in the S tier. It drags him down that much. Our next character is going to be Caustic. A lot of people are going to argue that I should put Caustic a bit higher on this list, but I don't personally think that that is true. I just feel like you don't really need Caustic nearly as much in final zones as you used to, especially with the rise in characters that have like trap destroying abilities and shield destroying abilities. I feel like Caustic is not really going to be someone you're going to have the room in your team to pick. If the meta is about to be something like Ashe, Rampart, Newcastle, or, you know, some sort of combination of those characters with Valkyrie and Gibby or Watson, I just don't really see Caustic fitting in too much, but hey, I could be entirely wrong. Caustic could shoot up to the easily best character in the game. I just feel like it's going to be so much harder to use Caustic traps, but of course, yes, in the right situation, Caustic is a dominating, easily game-winning character. His ult is still crazy good and one of the most game-changing ones in the game, just like Crypto, but I feel like he's going to be shot down just a teensy little bit in this season. Still very good though. Our next character is going to be Wraith. A lot of people are going to say that I should have put Wraith higher, but I don't really think so. Wraith, I don't even tell you guys, Wraith is really good. Probably the best tactical in the game. Ultimate is still super useful when you actually have the right situation for it. Her mobility is really good. Her potential to clutch fights is very strong. And in final zones, Wraith is just such a strong character with what she's able to dip in and out of. Wraith is just one of the overall best characters in Apex. I don't really think much more needs to be said. And our next character is going to be Horizon. Yeah, I think Horizon has shot way the fuck up. Look, I know a lot of this tier list could be wrong. I just feel like it is right, but I don't think anyone's really going to argue that Horizon belongs here. Fantastic kit overall, and I feel like being able to up it, I feel like you're being able to use her tactical and ult down on Newcastle teams is going to be something that is going to be incredible strong and one of the only real counters to that. I just feel like her mobility and her push potential right now, since other characters have been nerfed like Wraith and Octane, is just a lot higher. Also, she's just insanely fun to play, and the amount of great plays that you can do with Horizon in combination with other characters is something that is always a spectacle to watch. And shockingly, our next character is actually going to be Newcastle. Yeah, I don't think Newcastle is actually going to be an S tier character, and there's one simple reason for that. With an uncoordinated team, I feel like Newcastle is not going to matter. In the right hands, Newcastle will be completely and utterly devastating. Like, I know I've been talking about Newcastle this, Newcastle that for the entire video, so not putting him at number 1 seems really weird. But with teams that just kind of run around and everything, and teams that like to play more aggressively, I just don't see how he really fits. And the final character in A tier is actually going to be Bloodhound. Bloodhound's still the best recon character in the entire game, and you cannot change my mind. The easiest one to play and the easiest one to get value out of. When you pop ult, you can spam your tactical, you get a speed boost, and your vision goes black and white, and it's easy to see people marked in red from like across the map. Yeah, Bloodhound is just so stupid good. The only reason that they're not in S tier is I feel like recon characters are going to be bogged down a bit in this season. And at the bottom of S tier, I am actually going to put Gibraltar. Gibraltar with Newcastle is going to be very strong, and Gibby Airstrike is going to be something that could theoretically decimate Newcastle and Rampart teams. But, you know, then again, there's also Watsonal to counter those things, but I still feel like Gibby is just such a strong character. Fortified is getting nerfed in this season. You know, headshots no longer work for it, but he's still going to be very strong with the passive arm shield. And I feel like Gibby is still going to be better than Newcastle purely due to the fact that it's a lot easier, I feel like, to use Gibby Bubble in a mobile situation where you're running away than it is to use Newcastle Shield. But that's just my personal opinion. He edges out Newcastle a bit because of that. So that is where I currently stand. And our next character is actually going to be Ashe. Yes, I think Ashe is S tier. Amazing passive, great for gathering recon and always knowing where the fights are going on across the map. Amazing tactical, tethering people is actually insanely strong. I feel like with the Bucker meta, Ashe's portal is going to be the best pushing tool in the game. Being able to get high ground over people insanely quickly in a moment's notice, or being able to dip in and out very fast. Ashe is just a character that I think is going to fit in any comp you choose to play this season. And the best character in Apex Legends is Valkyrie. Yeah, no one's really surprised. Valkyrie got a nerf to the fact that she won't be able to spin anymore when she's flying around, but I actually don't think that's really going to change too much. In situations where the spinning around while you're flying could be useful, yeah, it was pretty useful, but she's still going to be insanely good. Her flight is going to be insanely powerful, her rockets are going to be insanely powerful still, and of course her ultimate is still going to be by far, by and large, the best rotating tool in the game. And with how the game works, hard resets are something that is so incredibly important. Valkyrie is the best character in Apex Legends, no debate. Valkyrie, the best character in Apex Legends, no debate. Moving on to the weapons tier list, I immediately know what my bottom pick is. I don't think any weapon in Apex is actually a bad weapon, so the low tier and the bottom tier are going to be completely unpopulated. However, in the bottom tier, we are going to have as the worst weapon, and I know I'm going to get shit for this, this is going to be the Sentinel. The Sentinel's biggest issue is simply that it is just worse than every other Mercs weapon in the game. I mean it, every single one is better than it. It's not even a bad gun. Its biggest problems is that it shoots slow. Yes, it can hit hard, but when you actually are able to spam weapons like the 30-30 or the Bocek or the longbow, those are just vastly superior. And I think the charge rifle is probably, well, we'll get to it later, one of the best weapons in Apex. Yeah, sure, hitting charge shots with the Sentinel is really satisfying, but you know, you gotta use 2 shield cells, and it's ultimately, to me, never worth it. Not a bad gun, just inferior. And yes, I mean, it is even inferior to the P2020. I'm gonna rank the P2020 and the RE45 at the same time. I've always felt the exact same way about these guns. If you had a gun to my head, I would say the RE45 is slightly better. I feel like it's easier to one-clip people with it than it is with the P2020, but the P2020 does have more range. But yeah, like I was saying, 2 words, hammer point rounds. These make these weapons infinitely better than the Sentinel due to the fact that in situations where you crack someone and swap to these, it is utterly devastating. Moving on down to the next spot is actually going to be the Alternator. Look, I actually don't think that the Alternator is bad at all. Like I said, this is just the mid-tier, but let's be honest, it's the same situation as the Sentinel. It is outclassed by every other SMG in the game. It is a very consistent weapon, I won't lie, and its you know, mid-range potential is actually pretty good. Like I said, it's just simply outclassed. Some people might hate me for this one, but I am genuinely putting the Eva all the way down here. The Eva used to be easily probably the best gun in Apex like a couple seasons ago, at least like top 3. Definitely best shotgun, but ever since the fire rate nerf, triple shotgun bolt nerf, it is just not really anything spectacular. Similar situation, alternator and sentinel. It is just outclassed by everything in the game. But in the situations where you have a lot of people pushing you and you get a lot of shots off at one time, it's actually pretty good. And the range on it is not bad. I'm happy that there's no like real laughable weapon in Apex anymore. There used to be some guns that were just straight up atrocious. I love the bow and the 30-30, and they're pretty much on the same level for me. I actually like them quite a bit, and I will almost be considering bumping them up into the next tier, but I don't really think that is true to life. If you had to ask me which one I thought was worse, since we no longer have the dual shell in Season 13, I am going to put the 30-30 a little bit lower than the bow check, because the dual shell was such a great hop up on the 30-30. Being able to reload that quickly was so nice. The bow check still has shatter caps and dead-eye tempo, which, I mean, only dead-eye tempo is the one that I actually care about. They're basically the same gun. Decent close range, easy to, you know, spam and hip fire, kind of. When you charge them up to their max potential from long range and you hit them headshots, it is really good. It's, once you learn the bullet drop and everything, they're very easy weapons to use, but you still gotta have good tracking and aim. They're pretty much the same gun, but the bow check edges out the 30-30 a bit this season. And this one hurts me, because I fucking love the L-Star, but I have to admit, it's gone down a lot after the nerf. I maybe would have put it in the top tier, but it was just, you know, doing really good back in Season 10, too good. They kind of nerfed it pretty hard, which was deserved, and now it is getting nerfed even more, because I guess it is still performing very well, which I've been using it a lot, and let me tell you, it has. Situations where teams are just running from you and you're just spraying this at them, it's so easy to track them once you learn how to use it, and it is an utterly devastating LMG. Beating it out slightly is going to be the Havoc, which got a slight buff this season that made it not really need the turbocharger nearly as much. Before with the Havoc and you didn't have the turbocharger, oh my god, I hated this gun. Least favorite gun in the game. But after this buff, I'm actually starting to like it a lot more. I think it is definitely the worst assault rifle in Apex, but you can still absolutely fucking beam people with it. When you hit all your shots, it has some of the highest DPS in the game. And yes, I'm not even joking, at the top of the mid tier is going to be the Mozambique. The Mozambique and the Peacekeeper got slight buffs this season, and man, this Mozambique buff, after all the buffs it's got, is hitting different. It's actually not a joke to say the Mozambique is one of the best shotguns now, especially with the hammer points. Oh my god, the damage with hammer points, the Mozambique is insane. One of my favorite weapons for sure, but I'll admit it is hard to use, and in some situations you are kind of just better off having a Peacekeeper or a Mastiff, so that's why it's down here. I still love it though. Now, a lot of this is about to come down to personal preference. The Spitfire is back on ground loot, and as a care package weapon, I think it was a good decision to have it in there because it was basically kind of just a no-brain spray LMG. It's gotten many nerfs, but let's be real, it's still that, and it's kind of just a worse version of the Rampage now. So I feel like, yes, it's still a very good gun. In the situations where you're able just to fucking spray, you can easily mow down 3 people very easily, but I just think it's gone down a lot. Now, I love the Hemlock. The Hemlock is actually my favorite assault rifle right now. The pure raw DPS potential is insane, and its hip fire is disgusting. The single fire on it is just something that's so good, and the boosted loader does actually make this gun really easy to spam with. I will admit that other guns are better, though. Rampage got a slight nerf, so maybe it would have been up a bit more, but obviously it has gone down now. It's still really good though, just being able to thump people from insanely long range with this thing's massive magazine is just one of the most annoying things in Apex. And its hip fire is mid, but man, there have been so many times where I'm like getting killed by Rampage and I'm like, how are they still fucking shooting? A lot of people are gonna argue that I should put this weapon higher, but I think the triple take deserves to be down here. Definitely one of the most unique weapons at Apex, great to use as a close range shotgun or a long range spam weapon. And if you actually manage to charge it up all the way and hit a headshot, it's on par damage with the longbow. I feel like the triple take is pretty dependent on attachments to really get the max value out of it, and with how much ammo it burns through, it's not always the best. But for someone who likes versatility, the triple take is the weapon for you. A lot of people are saying, oh my god, the car should not be down here. What the fuck is wrong with you? Look, yes, being able to use both light and heavy is fantastic. Yes, it's like a version, it's kind of a hybrid of the alternator and the R99. I just feel like if you have the better recoil control, the R99 is still just better. Yes, for range, it's a bit better than the R99, but hey, this is just my opinion, and you know, It's the truth. And the Devotion has seen a big nerf this season, and I would have had an S tier before with the turbocharger, but now it is down here in the high tier. It's still very good. With a turbocharger, you are able to take out people faster than you are with like any single weapon in the game. One of the great things about the Devotion is how it catches you off guard, and it feels like it kind of comes out of nowhere with how quick it is. It goes from 0 to 100 real quick, and its hip fire is just fantastic. But after all the nerfs it's gotten, it is definitely going to be way harder to use now. And at the top of our high tier, we are going to have the G7 Scout. I know, it's still a care package weapon, and this might seem like a dumb reason, but I'm not even joking. G7 Scout is down here simply because of its ammo carrying capacity. I loved spamming the G7 Scout with light ammo back in the day, and being able to have as much light ammo as I want honestly made it a godsend. You were able to use it as a great hip fire weapon, but of course, as the long range poke weapon, it was the best in the game. It was probably better than any sniper in the entire game. You could argue in the right hands, it was better than the Kraber. I get why it got put in the care package, but with its ammo carrying capacity and the way they kind of changed how it shoots, I'm just not the biggest fan of the G7 Scout anymore, although it is still one of my favorite guns and undoubtedly one of the best. Moving into our top tier, yes, I think the longbow is better than the G7 Scout. Get over it. It's super easy to shoot with this gun. You could drop it in 2 shots very easily. Like, the fire spam on this thing is just insane. It is really hard to hit fire with this weapon, but it's so satisfying and fun to use. It is basically my new G7 Scout. Just above the longbow in the top tier, we're gonna have the R99. The R99 is still fantastic, don't get it twisted. For people with insane recoil control and tracking, the R99 is one of the highest DPS, best time to kill weapons in Apex, and that'll never change. I don't think. I hope not. Please don't touch the R99. I love it. I love my bullet hose SMG. I actually wanted to put the charge rifle a bit higher, but if we're being perfectly honest, the charge rifle is one of the weapons in Apex that always gets called a no skill weapon, even though you have to have insanely good tracking to use it. But for people who are gifted with that insanely good tracking, the charge rifle is basically a cheat code, being able to easily farm Evo and crack people for 100 with almost every 2 shots you pump out of it. The ammo capacity is the biggest problem with this gun, being able to, you basically have to carry like 3 or 4 stacks of sniper ammo, and that can be really hard sometimes without a good backpack. After its nerfs, I would definitely say the Flatline is still a fantastic weapon, but definitely not the best. A couple of 3 seasons ago, the Flatline probably would have been number 1 or something, besides the care package weapons, of course. If you know the recoil pattern on this gun, it is definitely almost the best assault rifle. Its close range potential is just so good. And if you're someone who can actually control your Flatline recoil from long ranges, it'll surprise people with how much damage you're actually able to do. But yeah, I think the Prowler is the better heavy weapon. I love the Prowler. Prowler is so good. In my opinion, it is the best close range fight gun in Apex. That is not a joke. I think in terms of purely close range fights, the Prowler is the best gun in the game, and it's not even remotely close. The DPS of this gun and the consistency of it are unparalleled. However, from range and mid-range, it does kind of suck. Bringing us down to the Peacekeeper. The Peacekeeper got a slight buff to limb damage, same with the Mozambique. And yeah, sometimes with the Peacekeeper, you still hit people for 9 damage. Yeah, sometimes you don't always get to use the kinetic feeder on it in any sort of useful way. However, when you charge it up all the way and instantly hit that insane 100 damage shot in someone's face and immediately drop it back to another one, it is so fast, and you are able to completely change the pace of a fight with this one gun. It's insane. And then we have the Wingman. I don't need to tell you why the Wingman is here. I feel like people have such good aim, and especially if they're on controller, you're able to consistently double headshot people with the Wingman and instantly take them out of a match. Hip fire on it's great, long range capability is great, and it is a pistol. The only reason you would not like the Wingman is if you have bad aim. And that's pretty much it. And the best non-care package gun in Apex is the R301 carbine, go figure. Easiest gun to use, most consistent DPS. It doesn't matter that it's in the replicator. Now you actually can get it guaranteed and get light ammo for it easily, and you don't have to fight over it with your teammates. You'll have to actually go to replicator. There's nothing wrong with the R301. It is essentially a perfect weapon. It does everything that you would want a gun to do and more. And into our top 3, which of course are care package weapons, we have the Mastiff. It's not as good as the Season 0 version of the Mastiff, where you could basically drop 3 people in 2 shots. But now with the Mastiff, yeah, it is way stronger. I just am so scared with how strong this thing is going to be from range. If you ever get this, I can see it basically replacing any close range weapon weapon you were using because of its pure versatility, and the damage on it is just going to be crazy. And then number 2, yes, it's gone down a little bit, but don't get it twisted. It's still probably the best gun in the game. But honestly, this one kind of comes down to personal preference. It is going to be the Kraber. Yeah, the headshot damage and the body shot damage is nerfed. You'll still be able to one-shot people with blue shields. And hitting someone for 140 instead of 145, yes, it's 5 less damage, is still absolutely devastating. In 50% of situations, that is still going to be almost an instant down. And the fact it's a sniper and you're able to do it from any range, come on. The Kraber is an insane concept, and I cannot believe it is still in Apex, but the nerfs are justified. And basically surprising nobody who's actually a good player, the Volt is the best gun in Apex. I don't think I need to explain this. The Volt is legit now like the R301, but better. Yeah, the R301 has a bit more range. The Volt's DPS is just off the fucking charts, though, and its hipfire is also vastly superior. I love my mid-range SMG. The Volt is easily the best weapon in Apex right now. I mean, do we even have to discuss this? It's the Volt. It's the Volt. And going over the best maps at Apex, just to finish it off here. Look, I love Kings Canyon. I do. I like all the maps in this game. But yeah, Kings Canyon is the worst. I am so happy that we're actually getting rid of it. All the points of interest are way too close to each other. The map visually is very boring. I do like the holds and all the balloons on the map and the flyers. Those are great additions. And I like how you're able to get good loot from caustic treatment and other places pretty easily. But the map feels very condensed. And a lot of times you get caught out in the open on this map, you are dead instantly. And a lot of the locations are just not that fun to fight at. There's too many indoor areas. But I will admit, in terms of being fast-paced and the lobbies going quickly, Kings Canyon really feels like one area just becomes basically the entire map, and sometimes this can be really fun. I miss Skulltown and Thunderdome. And I know everyone would say Storm Point is the worst map, but I do legit disagree. It is the best map for ranked, specifically, because of how the areas are designed and because of how large the map is. Rotating and your positioning really means everything on this map. So for ranked, it is the highest skill-based map and is the most fun map to watch people play on for sure. I do love the gravity cannons, but I kind of wish there were more balloons or gravity cannons on the map, and I actually wish the vehicles didn't feel like a death sentence on this map. But for pubs, this map is a fucking nightmare. Most of the locations are not fun to fight at, and everyone just lands at the same place, and you'll be running around for 14 hours trying to find one person. Also, the Prowlers are still annoying. The second best map, of course, is World's Edge. This is the most balanced map in Apex. Great for ranked, great for pubs. There's a decent amount of loot pretty much everywhere on the map. There's decent cover pretty much everywhere on the map. All the locations are pretty much the same in terms of how fun they are to fight at and how much like rotating potential you have from each location to the next, the third party places. World's Edge would almost always definitely be their favorite map. And yeah, Olympus is the best map. Most fun for pubs, most fun for ranked. I know that people hate how fast paced it is and how it feels like a lot more of a casual map because there's so many different ways to get free legendary loot and things like that. But that's why Olympus is so fun. Also, this map visually is by far the best. The locations are easily the most fun to fight at. Fight Night is the best location in Apex Legends history, and nothing will ever change my mind. It is a great map for casual fans and competitive, fast-paced TTV sweatlord dirtbags like myself. It is the definition of Apex Legends to me. And that is going to do it for this video. I know this video has already been like long as fuck as it is. Thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go fucking take a nap now and enjoy season 3. Genuinely put your tier list or opinions or what your favorite weapons are, your least favorite legends are, or anything like that in the comments below. You guys know I always read the comments. If you want to interact with me and know when I'm streaming more and giving you video ideas and suggestions and things like that, join the community Discord, follow the Instagram and Twitter below. I'm super excited for season 13. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell to hear more from me. Do all the stuff in the description, and I'm so tired. I've been Big Citrus, and have a damn good one. All politicians in the office.
Well, not just that.
Babe, we gotta go. Babe, we gotta go.
He needs to pick up this fucking energy.
No. Nice. Golden backpack trade? You want that? Oh, you already had one. Let's go. I have Valkyl. I don't know that we'll need it. Oh, swap your helmet with me, you little fucker.
I can't take it.
What?
Hold on, I'll drop it for you, I promise.
You're right, yeah, I just realized you need to drop yours. Drop your helmet. Okay, come take mine. Nice. It's the same headshot damage reduction, by the way, in case you're wondering.
No, it's fine, I don't care, I just grabbed it because
Wait, I want to get us up here. Wait, come to me. Can you, never mind. He's on drugs. Touch me. I don't care.
Main engine burn.
I remembered I was about to try and ask this Octane to do something helpful, and I was like, wait. Just stick with me, stick with me.
We got trouble now, really close.
Recharging my
See? You see why I did this?
Charging on my shield.
My game is on drugs. It is all fucked up. It keeps saying that I'm using a Phoenix kit when I'm using a shield cell. It says I have a Prowler still. I should unfuse right here.
Bogey over there.
Throwing jump pad.
I don't know how you expect me to get up there.
That is the. Oh my. Yo! I'm getting reported!
We have 45 seconds, and the next ring is right there. Don't leave anything good behind.
I'll just have to show you. Maybe it wasn't as impressive as I'm saying, but I felt like I should on them. Alright, I'm basically doing my best fuse cosplay right now, because I have a Spitfire weapon, so I have a care pack weapon, so I don't need to like have that many slots, and I got gold back, so I have 8 grenades.
I think a bunch of fucking energy ammo for him, and he didn't pick up any of it.
Nah, those guys actually man a lab.
Spitfire here.
No cap. Oh!
Behind you, babe.
What?
I don't know where, but...
Taking fire. Opening fire.
He's weak as fuck.
Reloading.
I'm not
Wings
gonna
out.
be able, I mean...
Box 3. I got radar.
Is he just running from me? I feel like that's the last guy.